Welcome back everyone, my name is Rahila and this is Ray Writes. So we've done a lot so far. I've taught you about the fundamentals or foundations of fiction writing. I've also gone ahead to tell you about which genres are selling and which genres are not selling and why. In this video, I want to tell you another thing that is very relevant for your fiction writing journey, and that is the need to niche down. Now, I have found in my personal experience as a writer over the years that niching down is one of the most important things you can do as a fiction writer. So if you want to stand out and build a loyal audience, it's not enough to simply write the next romance novel and just throw in an enemies to lovers trope or a single dad trope. You also have to understand why it's really important that you niche down. Niching down will not only give you a loyal following, but it will distinguish you in that particular area of writing. Alright, let's start with why niching down is so important. Imagine this, you are a romance writer, you are writing love stories, but there are hundreds of thousands, in fact millions of romance novels out there. What do you do? How do you stand out? How do you get readers to choose your novel and not the next novel on the shelf? Here's the trick: specialize. Find a niche within that genre that is less saturated and still has high demand. When you niche down, you become the go-to expert for clients who want to read in that particular niche. I'll tell you a story. I once wrote about 15 novels for a client who specialized only in one kind of hobby or the other. So one novel was about chess lovers, another novel was about hot air balloon lovers, another novel was about cat lovers, another novel was about painters. I went through all the novels. She gave me the hobbies, so she really niched down. So you know that romance readers who are also cat lovers will definitely go for her novel. Romance readers who are also hot air balloon enthusiasts will go for her novel. And you are starting to get the picture now. Very good. Now I want to ask, how can you niche down a genre like romance writing? How about considering small town romance? Didn't we all love watching Sullivan's Crossing or Virgin River by Robin Carr? It's one of my favorite novels, and it all happened in a small, close-knit community where everybody knows everybody. How about hockey romance, where it's all about the sport? I've written several novels for a client who we went from one romance story to the other of all the whole hockey team members. I mean, it's very endearing because you keep seeing familiar figures and you can relate. And then when you see a mention of maybe Philip's story in John's story, you want to also go and find that other novel that is about Philip, or maybe there's something about Philip that is mentioned in this other novel, and then you find him endearing. I want to go and find out more, so you go and look for the novel. I know that's really clear and so interesting, right? Yeah, I know. How about novels? How about romance novels set the seaside resorts? I mean, I remember the recent movie Bali about the college girl that was supposed to resume school and read medicine, but then she meets somebody and then she just forgets about going to school and goes to Bali, and then the whole story is unfolding about convincing her parents follow her, convincing her to go back to school, forget about the romance and all that, and what happens at the end, which I will not tell you. When you write novels about seaside resorts, it's very enduring to tourists and travel lovers, because by the time you paint the setting, you paint the background, we see the white beaches, the green seas, the palm trees and all the sunshine. I mean, somebody like me, I would read that novel because I actually love islands. Another niche that you'll consider is billionaire romance. Billionaire romance trended about 3 years ago, and I wrote, like, oh my god, it was pouring out of my ears. I wrote at least about 200 of them, but it was very interesting. You know why it was interesting for me? Because I got to live my life through the billionaire's life. I had to research the kind of clothes they wear, the kind of food they eat, the kind of hotel they stay, how they conduct themselves, they carry themselves, and it took me into a world that naturally in real life I don't belong. So it was an immersive journey for me while I wrote about billionaires. So if you are somebody who also enjoys the rich and famous lifestyle, then it's something, a niche you can consider. How about we go historical? Regency romance will never go out of fashion. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was reading Regency romance. Now, as an adult, I'm still reading Regency romance. It can never go out of fashion. History lovers will always love historical romance because some people just love history naturally. I'm also a history lover, you know, so that is something you can consider. What about Victorian romance as well? I can tell you authoritatively that when you become a known ghostwriter, either in Regency, in Highland romance, or in Victorian romance, clients will continue to come to you, especially if you study those eras intricately and understand their culture, their way of life, their dialects, and you are able to deliver seamlessly. One of my trade secrets is to take that, the characteristics of the era, and also give it the fast-pacedness and the dialogue and action-packedness, permit me to create my own words since I'm a writer, of the contemporary romance. So it's not slow, it doesn't drag, it's not boring, it's fast-paced, it's immersive, it's intriguing for the reader. Now that you understand the importance of niching down, can you tell me in the comment section which area you find more interesting and which area you would like to dabble in niching down? Now remember, in niching down you have to target specific readers. It will not take you more than 10 minutes research to find the specific, you know, there are so many untapped small communities and groups. Like, I was watching a video recently and the writer was saying that now he only writes Gothic novels because there's a small community of readers that love it. In fact, they have clubs where they go and dress up in that era, and they love novels they love everything of that era. So he has been focusing on writing novels only in that era. So imagine if you understand, you grab a certain niche and you become a master at it. Imagine the amount of money that you will make from writing in that genre. I've stayed so long, but I wanted to quickly run through thriller, how you can niche down in thriller as well, psychological thriller, crime thriller, paranormal thriller, spy thriller, and even in this you can niche down further. Mystery, how about cozy mystery, noir mystery, police procedural mystery? All these are areas you can consider. Please, after you have researched these niches, niche down further. Research, ask ChatGPT, how can I niche further down in this particular niches? And please, it's not about your sentiment. Also remember that keep at the back of your mind what will also sell, what is also popular, what is trending, and what will fly off the shelves. Let me reiterate why niching down is very important. One, it makes you stand out. Instead of you bidding with hundreds of thousands of other people, now the client is the one that comes to you. Platforms like Upwork will recommend you to the client. This I'm saying from experience, and the client will be the one inviting you to have an interview with them. Again, you have a loyal following. If you self-publish in platforms like web novel, I will tell you this again. I started writing in web novel, and see what I did that made me immediately start having a followership. One, she was a surgeon and she was autistic, so she did not like personal touch. The male lead was a billionaire who was dying of a rare kind of cancer. She's the only surgeon who has the know-how to save his life. She had been experimenting in cloning. Now imagine, it's supposed to be a romance novel, but she doesn't like to be touched because she's autistic, and he is dying. I deliberately made it so complex and so complicated because it's, you know, in web novel you have to have like 150,000 words before you start trending, you start flying. Now you can imagine that immediately, just because of the complexity of my sub niche, how I made it unique. From the very first episode that I uploaded, I was already having a very good follower, but unfortunately I couldn't continue with the story because I got very busy with other freelancing gigs. So don't just write anything. Write the novels that you know readers are looking for. When you niche down, you attract a dedicated fan base that will always come looking for you, and that it will last for a long haul. In conclusion, niche down to stand out. Romance, thriller, science fiction. Find subgenres in these genres and keep niching down until you find the one that suits you and clients would love to read. Build. Now go ahead and start researching your genre and your niche. Drop your thoughts of the ideal niche in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond to your comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.